Hey fairy friends, it's Liz. I am back. This is a how-to on painting eyes on vintage dolls. These techniques can be used for any dolls though. Here is the Gerber baby from 1972, how she came to me. All dirty and yucky. I have stripped her paint using acetone. And this is my reference picture. This is how she came out from the factory with her factory paint. Now I'm showing you her new face paint and blushing. I have sealed her with a spray varnish, so she's ready for her eyes. Now the techniques I'm going to show you I use for my fairy dolls, like this one. They're made of polymer clay. And I also paint portraits on canvas. So these techniques can be used for vinyl, composition, porcelain, polymer. This won't just be for dolls. I have some tips that I've learned over the years that hopefully you can apply to whatever projects you may have. And some of these eyes look like real glass eyes. And as we know, painted eyes cost way less than real glass eyes. Here's one on a composition doll I did. And this doll is one I found online just to show you the eyes. And Tammy Lasky is actually restoring one like this. So hopefully she can get some tips from this. And everyone else as well. So I'm just going over what I use. I have to have at hand a palette, water, paper towel, toothpicks, cotton swabs, makeup sponges, and I may not use them, but they're there. I don't have to run around the house. Acrylic paints, obviously. That's what I use. You can use other things. I'm going to show you a little trick with this masking fluid and the Scotch mounting putty. We'll get to that here in a little bit. And this is my go-to gloss. I do use a matte varnish that's no shine, but for this one we're going to use the high gloss. For Tammy, who's working on restoring her composition horseman doll like this one, that doll looks like that has a real glass eye. It looks inset, but we can achieve that, and part of it's going to be with that gloss. Now, a little word about paints. Now, I don't have a brand favorite, but I did change out my white for this smaller because I had an incident with this big Apple Barrel white paint, and I've never had a problem with Apple Barrel. As you can see, the other ones are also Apple Barrel. I used this big thing of white over the holidays for a painting party for a snowy landscape, and it was a disaster. The paint dried, but then when I went to paint over it, the previous paint gummed up and came up off of the canvas. So I forgot about it, went home, started another painting a little bit later, and it did the same thing. So I think this was exposed to extreme heat or cold before it got to the store shelf, and shaking it up just didn't help. So just be mindful of where you keep your paints, because you don't want to spend all that money and keep them out, like say in a hot garage and in a cold, garage in the winter. So that's just going to be set aside. I'm going to remember so I don't have a problem. Anything you can do to make sure that you have a good time while you're painting. You don't need any extra grief. So I'm filling up my palette for right now. I just need a little bit, and I don't want it to dry up because this is a little bit painstaking work. Just put a little. I'm using Cobalt Hue because that's close to the eye color of the Gerber baby. Keep some plastic wrap. I didn't show this, but keep some plastic wrap if you have to step away to keep that dry or wet. And then if you're going to be gone for an extended period, you can put that plastic wrap and just put it in the refrigerator. And that'll keep the paint from drying out on you. Especially when you've mixed a paint on your palette So you don't want to waste all of that. Now I'm going to go over the brushes, and the size of the brush and the style matter, but also the consistency of the brush, the firmness. I have two that look similar. One's a little bit smaller, but the one on the right is firm all the way to the tip. Now we need that specifically for this project because we have to do some tight lines and we do not want the brush flipping and flopping. You know, we're not mopping it on. We need to be precise. So they do sell brushes at art stores where you can feel it and it's not in the package. I would suggest doing that even though they're more expensive, because you're still going to get a bunch of brushes if you get the multi-pack that you can't use. So you really wasted your money if you've gotten a bunch of brushes you can't use. And don't go for the cheapies. These ones, there's the name brand on that. I can't remember how much they cost, but there's the number on it as well. That one is what we're going to use. I got the cheapy brushes for years and I just caused myself extra grief. It's just not worth it. Save your cheap brushes for other projects that you can use where you don't have to be precise. Now here, there's the number for this one. This one is also firm all the way to the tip. That is not floppy at all, and we need that. We need that to be that way. And then this one is a flat brush. And you can see the edge, and we'll be using that specifically for the line above the eye, not for the lashes, each individual lash itself, but for the line above the eye. So as you can see, we don't need a whole bunch of brushes. We don't need a lot of fancy paints or anything. Let me just knock over some paints. All right, now I'm going to get to this really quick. This is all prep work. Basically, this video is prep work, so don't be upset. There will be the part 3 where I actually paint and I shut up. So this mounting putty is perfect for masking off areas. If you're doing airbrushing, Tammy, if you're doing airbrushing and you want to get right around that hairline to tape or to stick down your plastic wrap. You can also use a combination of tape, which I'll show you here in a minute, masking tape plus the putty. And I would go ahead to get the Scotch brand because I've gotten some cheap mounting putty before and it's disintegrated and it's left a residue. This doesn't. I know all doll materials are all different. So on vinyl, I can say for sure. On porcelain, I can say for sure this does not leave a residue. And you can go right over that ear and protect that ear. And if you put plastic wrap down, that would secure that. You're not going to get any overspray from the airbrush, and nothing can leak underneath because that's sealed. That putty seals it down. Now with a little masking tape, because I know plastic wrap can be a little bit difficult. I mean, that can give you high blood pressure some days trying to deal with plastic wrap. You can just use a masking tape or even a painter's tape that can come up more easily than this masking tape, but I don't have any problem with this. And the masking tape is Duck brand. I don't have any issues with this. And you could just tape the whole face. I'm not going to do that now. So it's up to you. There's several different options. The thing that you want to do is just think out before you start. Because a little bit of preparation can really go a long way. Save you a lot of grief too. Now her hair is not done. I will get to that. But this video is about the eyes. Well, specifically prepping. Now there's art masking fluid, and this is at art stores. It's at Hobby Lobby, and I'm showing you, just pretend that I've dipped into the fluid. It's kind of a thin, milky fluid, and you just brush it on to make your barrier. So you could use that around the eyes if you didn't want to, if you needed help. making a barrier. These eyes are recessed, so I kind of have my own little built-in barrier, but you could use that art masking tape, art masking fluid rather, to make your boundaries. So that is the end of prepping. There is a part 2, and when we examine our goals of what we're looking to do, and then there's a part 3 where I actually, like I said, I actually shut up and I actually paint and show you how to do the actual painting. So thanks for watching, and be sure to go down into the links below so that you can watch the other videos. Thanks a lot.